Hare Krishna. Welcome to Tax YouTube channel. This is Rohnar Pingre, practicing chartered accountant based in Mumbai, also partner in Motilal and Associates LLP, member firm of Marks Network. Welcome to the video series on GST disputes practical aspects. And today, in episode 5, we will discuss on topic aspects of investigations and summons. So let's dive into it. Let me allow to share my screen. Yes. So key learning areas of the session will be sources for investigation and nature of information, summons and its procedure, steps that can be carried out by the department officers, validity and scope of summon proceedings, authorized persons to appear under section 70 subsection 1A, questions and answers, withdrawal, modification or denial, evidentiary value statements, show cause notice based on what statements and confession versus administration. So let's start with it. Provisions are made to safeguard what governs government legitimate dues. So to provide a level playing field to genuine taxpayers and deterrent provisions of inspection, search, and seizure enacted. So these provisions exercised only in exceptional circumstances and as a last resort to protect what the government revenue. So to make use of these provisions properly and effectively, they are performed only when an officer of the rank joint commissioner or above has reasons to believe that the existence of such cases. So the investigation is to finally demand the tax along with interest and imposing penalties for violation of what law. So confiscation of goods and prosecution may also initiate in applicable cases. So principles of natural justice and opportunity of being heard need to be followed in such actions or proceedings. Very important. So law empowers what the departmental authorities to summon for production of what documents or records in respect of this. So let's understand sources for investigation and nature of information. So sources can be internal or external. Internally generated are those within the department. So internal sources can be compilation or a comparison of a data available in a GST portal and different reports generated through what this. Okay, so information collected during the audit and exchange of information between the state and central authorities. Then external sources can be information from other government departments, audit of customs or supplies, complaints of competitors. So reasons to believe must be created from the nature of information collected. So to substantiate the department's case, investigator collect what the required information and supporting evidence. So section 70 enable the authority to summon any person to give evidence or produce what? A document. So let's understand summons and its procedure. So summons is an what integral part of an inquiry. Okay. So inquire and inquire, there is a different meanings attached to each of these words. Very important to understand. So many of us are professionals, those who are want to in a litigation practice and want to go into litigation practice, please need to understand the words, the meanings. So inquire and inquire definitely have a different meanings. So inquire used for general query and questions, and inquire is used in case of investigation. Please note down this distinguish, this difference. So inquire used for general query and questions, and inquiry is used in question of investigation. So there are two types of summons, right? So first party summons, person who is investigated is summoned, and the third party summons, that is person who is summoned, is being considered as witness. So inquiry can be only in respect of what offenses. Very important. Inquiry is a general and inquiry can only be in respect of offenses. So during the course of any inquiry under the act, proper officer is empowered what to summon persons to give what evidence or produce a document or any other thing. Summons is not the end of the investigation. Please note down, summons is not the end of investigation, but a step in the course of investigation. Very important. Let's see steps that can be carried out by the department officers. So proper officer is empowered by what law to issue summons to any person in carrying out the inquiry proceedings. So summon not limited to taxable person only. Please note down this. Any person can be summoned. Okay. So summon is to first party or to third party that need to be disclosed. That is very important. So on production of a document or any other things as per summon need to be acknowledged also. So in gathering the evidence, questions and answers mode is what common method which may be adopted to getting the information. So after deposing person summoned will be permitted to exit from the said location. So let's see validity and scope of summon proceedings, right? So understanding the nature of proceedings initiated is what important. So it is required to understand this so that one can avoid submission to invalid proceedings, right? So test is what who is exercising these powers. So ensure that summons cannot be issued in a routine manner and non-specific documents which are available on the common portal. So those who are summoned need to have a knowledge pertinent to investigation or inquiry. So those who appeared are not bad in law to refrain from answering. So officers are advised to explore that instead of resorting to the summons, a letter for requisition of information may suffice. So someone must state a specific document or a thing to be produced. Non-specific and vague summons liable to be unsuccessful. Very important. So summons can call a person to appear and record a statement on oath. What summons do can call a person to appear and record a statement on oath. So the statement on oath are a weak form of evidence. Okay. So opinions and interpretations will not be a tenable. Summons should not be resorted to what in routine matters. Very important. So one can decline in writing when documents that are not available in normal course of business are being called for. So multiple summons do not go well because of what in adjudication or appellate proceedings. So let's see authorized person to appear, that is section 70 subsection 1A. It is mandatory for a person summoned to appear at least through an authorized person, either himself or authorized person. So if investigating officer is of the opinion that named person must appear, then authorized person will not be sufficient compliances. Then that particular person need to be attended. So CS has no role during what investigations when it pertains to business transactions authored by taxpayer. Very much important. Please note down this thing. CS has a no role during the investigations when it pertains to what business transactions that are authored by whom? Taxpayer himself. So CS should give fact-based and not opinion-based evidence. Sources like financial statements, ITR, 26AS, TDS data are unreliable sources for sources of information. So they can use to start an inquiry and not to conclude the inquiry. Very important. All these statements like ITR, 26AS, TDS, financial statements are what unreliable sources. They are used to start an inquiry, but not to conclude the inquiry. Let's understand question and answer format. So common method to collect the evidence is what question and answer format. So Q&A is a popular approach and questions are simple and straightforward. Questions relate to the facts. Questions need to be short and to the point. A logical sequence of questions can be followed and statement comprising the facts will be relevant and valuable in furthering the inquiry. So let's understand withdrawal, modification, or denial. So incorrect and false statements are what common, right? So in if notice was issued based on the statements recorded in summon proceedings, then those statements may be challenged by the taxpayer. So statements recorded are only and is what aid to inquiry and they are not concluding the inquiry. So reasons that may make the statement recorded lack what probative value to rely upon in the inquiry. So the person recording the statement may be under a misunderstanding or committing a mistake. The person may be unfriendly to the taxpayer, and that is why he claiming that particular statement. The person finds summons to be a vindicative opportunity to harass the other person. So that is the reason these are unreliable source. They can aid to the inquiry, but that cannot be conclude the inquiry. So let's understand evidentiary value of the statement. So burden of proof will be on the person making any assertion. So except in respect of ITC GST section 155 places the burden of a proof on the taxpayer as to eligibility to credit. So statement on oath is admissible only and only when it is not disputed. So Indian Evidence Act states that the undisputed facts do not need to be proved. Very important. So documentary facts in books and accounts are also subject to challenge. So let's see show cause statement. Okay, show cause notice based on the statement. So summons is a process to call upon a person to what give evidence or produce what a document. But show cause notice is a different process in law. Show cause notice contains charges that a specific person is called upon to answer. So evidence or a document or a thing secured in summons neither obligates revenue to act upon it or nor rely upon it. So summon is not mandatory or essential to issue for all the inquiries or for notices demanding tax. Very important. Summons is not mandatory or essential to issue for all inquiries or for notices demanding what tax. So summons play a role of aid to the inquiry, right? Show cause notice can't be issued on the foundation of the statement recorded in summons. Very, very much important. Show cause notice should not be issued on the foundation of what statement records in summons. So need to carefully examine the extent to which the statement recorded on oath support the allegations in the notice. So also need to see whether any other corroborative evidence have been brought on record or not. Verify whether the notice standing merely on a statement of deponents. So that can be a very much good ground to defend. Let's understand the confession versus administration. So used as synonymous, but differences need to be considered. Confession ends further processing, right? It is once it is confessed, then no, there will be no further proceeding. But admission is in respect of one or more fact, and when accepted as undisputed, served as what ingredients that make up the offense. So confession given cannot be readily accepted; it must be examined. So example, it is not made by force or for other reasons. So objective of investigation is to punish the guilty party and not just any willing party. Very important. We want to punish guilty party and not just any willing party. So admission refers to certain facts. So admission can turn out to be a incorrect or false. So admission may be even modified. Let's see replies during pre-show cause notice day. So reply filed by the person being investigated becomes what very important. So professional assisting them should be very cautious in drafting their reply. Very much important. Our reply should speak our professional skill to defend our client. So that's it for today from this particular session. Thank you so much for patient hearing. If you have any questions, observations, then do let me know via WhatsApp, email. You can also comment below the video. My contact number is 9819612660 and my email ID is rohanrp1983 at the rate gmail.com. So if you're not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, then do subscribe for latest updates and video series like this. So stay tuned to the Tax YouTube channel. Thank you so much once again. Bye bye. Take care. See you soon. Hare Krishna.